Latest on the coronavirus outbreak and word of another Canadian contracting the disease overseas. That person now among 65 new cases on board a cruise ship docked in Japan. The Diamond Princess has been quarantined in Yokohama for 6 days with more than 3,600 people on board. And they are raising concerns that the virus will continue to spread.
You know, I think the biggest thing is we feel like we're sitting duck. We're sitting here, and people who are not even sick is going to be sick.
So the new cases, including that one Canadian, that means that 8 Canadians are now receiving coronavirus treatment on shore. 240 other Canadians remain on the ship. And those 135 confirmed cases on the Diamond Princess, you know, they account for almost a third of all people with the virus outside mainland China. Chris Brown is very close to that cruise ship. He's on shore in Yokohama, Japan, and has the latest on the new numbers.
It's Monday night here in Yokohama, and it was a day of bad news, really the worst news that passengers did not want to hear. A big jump in the number of cases, including one more Canadian. Also, a large number of Japanese people have tested positive, 11 Americans as well, and 5 crew members. The big question now is, how in fact did they get sick? Well, not too many clues coming from Japan's health ministry, but a few are coming from Princess Cruises, specifically from the captain, who's been making announcements to passengers. He suggested to them that, in fact, they probably had these symptoms, they probably had the virus before this quarantine began. So that might come as some sense of relief that perhaps, you know, the virus isn't spreading, but we haven't again heard that from the health ministry. On the other hand, clearly some people are feeling sick, so they're going in to get tested, and hence we have these results. A couple of new things have come out of that for people on board the ship. On the positive side, some people on inside cabins are going to get a chance to come outside a little bit more, so they're going to have their ability to walk around and get some fresh air improved. On the other hand, they're going to have to wear masks whenever they open up the door, whenever they even get their food, have any kind of interaction with the outside of their room at all. We saw a lot of activity today, lots of ambulances parked right beside the ship. We saw a lot of them coming and going, a lot of people in white hazmat suits almost walking in military precision to and from various buildings and to the ship as well. And we also saw some military vehicles, too, that seemed to form a tent just outside of the ship that was had a sealed way going into the ship. But what they were doing there, we really don't know. Very few details coming tonight from Japan's government. Chris Brown, CBC News in Yokohama.
Now, I mentioned there are 240 Canadians still on board the Diamond Princess, and they are growing more apprehensive by the day, including Trudy Clement. She is one of those Canadians. We have spoken with her several times during the quarantine, and I spoke to her just a few minutes ago. How are you doing now this morning as those numbers, you heard me say, keep going up?
We're doing okay. I think today was probably the most stressful day we've had. It was constant ambulances, fire trucks, Army personnel here, and just watching off the balcony. And we didn't know how many more people, passengers and staff, became ill again until this evening. So the numbers are astonishing.
How did you find out about the number of people who became, like the latest number, 135 altogether? Did you hear that from the captain?
We heard that from the captain, yes.
And when you learned that it was up to that number, what did you think?
We kind of had a feeling something was going on, as I said, with all the activity on the tarmac today, and with the ambulances and that. We knew it had to be the virus spreading throughout the ship. So it's just like we had an opportunity to go out and stretch our legs today for a walk, but we didn't go. We're just going to stay here where we know we're not contaminated right now.
So your level of apprehension is going up, Trudy? More and
Very
more.
much so.
Very much so. pause that thought for a moment. You sent us some pictures, and you talk about the activity you saw outside from your balcony. Let's just look, number one, at the series of pictures, the hazmat suits and the ambulances. We're looking at that. Tell me exactly what you were seeing from them, what they were doing, Trudy.
When we saw the men in the hazmat suits, and they were all almost marching towards the ship, I don't know if you received the video or not, but they were in a marching order and they came right to the ship. We don't know what the purpose of those gentlemen were, whether they're removing the sick passengers and staff from the ship to the ambulances. We weren't quite sure, or if they're disinfecting. And then, but there was more, a lot of Army personnel here today.
Yes, we'll put those pictures up too, Trude, because you sent those in. And our reporter, Chris Brown, who's there just offshore, and he's reporting on that, he mentioned that he had seen those military vehicles too, and that they seem to be putting up some sort of blue tarp.
I believe with the fire trucks and the blue tarp, it was to shield the media that's off to the left of the ship from seeing what was going on as far as the people being removed.
But the military and the military personnel, you weren't able to see exactly what they were doing?
They put up the blue tarp.
Okay.
And it was sealed between the trucks, their trucks, and the ship.
So that is the activity. No wonder it is adding to your concern, and we're certainly hearing from other Canadians sharing that concern. Chris was listening to the voice of the captain coming over the speakers, I guess, and was understanding some of the instructions that he was saying, that the air is fresh, that they're not recirculating old air, so don't worry about that, that you should wear masks at all times, even when you open the door to receive your food. Are you doing that, Trudy?
We did it for the first time this evening. Like I said earlier this evening, we were instructed to do that. So when our dinner came, I answered the door with a mask on.
Are you afraid you're going to get sick, Trudy?
I am very afraid of getting sick, and so is my husband. It's a possibility, and we have our next door neighbor here. His wife was removed from the ship, and he's alone next door, and he doesn't know when he's going to see her. She's not allowed back on the ship, so she'll have to stay. She's in a hospital 1 hour outside of Tokyo right now.
Is she Canadian, or is this just another nationality?
She's American.
She's American.
They're American. Yeah, and
receiving care elsewhere on shore. There is talk of testing every single person on that ship. Do you have any more information about whether that's going to happen, Trudy?
I have not heard anything about that. We're still doing our daily temperature checks and still getting reminded to report coughs, sore throats, things like that. But no, I haven't heard anything about the whole passengers or all the passengers being tested, no.
How about your family members at home? What are they saying to you, and how concerned about you are they?
They're very concerned. We're in constant contact. The time change makes a big difference for when we can speak, but always, every day, constant contact.
Well, we'll keep
They're concerned.
Of course, and understandably, but they'll hopefully draw a little bit of reassurance when they see our conversations in the morning, and to know that you're, touch wood at this point, still healthy. Here's another little bit of detail I was learning this morning, that Princess Cruises sent out a letter to you and all of the passengers that they're going to refund the cost of your cruise and give you a voucher for another cruise at a later date. Did you get that letter?
Yes, we did. It was pretty shocking.
Well, tell me what you made of that when you got that word.
I just said to my husband, "Where are we going?"
So,
but it won't be Asia.
I mean, you told us at the end when we first met you that you are a regular cruiser and you love your cruise holidays, but I'm wondering whether you're rethinking this holiday.
You know, this is an unfortunate circumstance. I can't foresee this happening all around the world. I mean, this is going to run its course for sure, this particular virus. But in the future, there's still going to be other things. But I'm not going to sit at home and worry about it. I'm going to go for it.
And in the meantime, right now, doing all the things that you should to stay healthy. You wear that mask and take your temperature, and Trudy will be back in touch again. Thank you again for this morning's conversation.